So, the truth of the world is really explored, and people can predict that, yeah, there could be people outside the walls because look at Ryan or look at Annie, but no one predicted modern civilization that's very similar to our own past, hell, our own history with Nazi Germany, and expected something like this to be dropped on you, and that's the brilliance of Isayama. It was always there in front of us, dangling with hints and clues of how people would react, and to get information like this in such a well-directed episode, it just brings a smile to my face. They adapted basically 2 chapters in this week's episode, and I was actually curious, could they do that with how much dialogue was in this week's episode, and I thought they did a really remarkable job. My favorite part of this episode is how it felt like Aaron's father, Grisha, was actually just explaining something. It didn't really feel like a flashback. He left information, a letter, notes, explaining what happened and what's truly the history of this world, not what's taught in history books, either within the walls or outside the walls, the true unfiltered truth. And it felt as if we were reading people's information, their thoughts. It wasn't like we were flashing back and seeing it from their perspective. It felt as if we were actually watching someone's letter kind of unfolded in front of us and feeling as if it was information after information. It was an info dump, but it was an important info dump. Having it feel as if we were kind of reading the letter alongside the characters like in last week's episode, it really makes it come across as this is major bombshell. This is like reading the history of your world after being taught lies for your entire life and generations before you. This is an incredibly well-directed episode, and I love all the information. Being able to talk about Marley, being able to talk about Eldians, the idea of Ymir and the 9 Titans, and how on one hand it's kind of viewed as religious organization, and then another it's basically the devils. I love the idea of just what Isayama was building up to all along, and to see just what was going on. There's still some information I'm not going to touch upon, but you can see things that I remember in season 2. Eren saves Mikasa, and people are like, oh my god, Eren got a power-up. How did he control the Titans? This is absurd. And it really took all I had to not say, are you kidding me right now? No, he didn't get a power-up. It was foreshadowing to the idea of what Eren's Titan is, how the idea of royal blood works, how the idea of the Titan shifters function, and the idea of why 3 walls were built and why they were separated from the remainder of humanity. For right now, Titans are pretty much the way to keep Marley in power, but as they say in this episode, there will come a point where modern technology will surpass Titan shifters, and they'll need the resources beyond the walls. But how will they get there when they've had the threat of, if you ever try to come to us, we will release all the Titans in our walls and you guys will be effed up. This episode just laid the foundation of where the future's going. You can see the wars brewing, you can see gears in your mind start to turn, being like, oh my god, where is Eren going to go with this information? Where are the remainder of humanity going to go with this information? And where is this new country Marley going to go? And why is it so similar to Nazi Germany? I absolutely adore what Isayama was always building up to. And I mean, I didn't touch upon it last week with the whole idea of armbands because there wasn't enough information. People are going to speculate on what that meant, but now after you see it, the idea that, these Eldians, people who can turn into these Titans, the idea that they are treated as basically slave vermin that are looked down upon, and you have to have permits to go into certain places, and if you disobey orders, what do you want to do? Do you want to work it off, or do you want to get punished? I just love what they're building up to and how brutal it is, but how even if you do fight for a country, it doesn't mean you agree with their standing. Sometimes people just get roped into really bad political situations, and you can see that with the owl. And I love that moment between his sister as well as him being like, I'm to blame, don't hurt her, I will take the punishment. And you think, okay, she's gonna get a free pass, and hey, you can even look at the air blimps because, you broke the rules, but you're already here, you might as well see what you came for. And then you see that she got fed to dogs. This is a brutal environment, and you can understand why people would push back against this. You're being taught one history of who your people are and why you deserve to be punished, but of course some people are going to say, I didn't do that, why am I being punished for my ancestors' actions? Even maybe my ancestors' actions weren't even in the wrong and maybe they were justified. You're seeing so many things start to click, and you're saying, like, at the beginning of the series, you probably thought, what's the idea of the walls? Why did they really build these walls? Was it just for Titans? And then you kind of forget about it because, Eren has the key to the basement, and you need to start focusing on other aspects, the female Titan. But then when you get to this episode, you're like, everything starts to spin in your head, and it clicks more and more. I love the idea of the uprising and how everything clicks. You get to learn who Zeke is. He's literally Grisha's son. That means it's Eren's brother. So now, a couple episodes back when Zeke was saying how he would save him, things are starting to make a lot more sense. because they're family. I just love how so many details are laid out before you, either a couple episodes before or within the first season. All these things are starting to click more and more, and you're seeing that Isayama isn't some author who pulled shit out of his ass like a lot of manga authors. Literally since day one, he was building up to a story that resembled this, and he laid the foundation to come. He laid down that smiling titan. He laid down how the Titan Shifter's powers work, how things maybe didn't really make sense at the beginning, but as you're seeing this, you're like, okay, wait a second. You go back and rewatch or you reread, and you say, holy shit, this madman actually planned years ahead. Attack on Titan has been going for basically 10 years. I think it's on year 9 right now. I think 10th year will be next year, or it could be this year. But nonetheless, this man has never took a hiatus. He's literally been writing month after month, and he's had this type of shit planned. He's obviously changed things, expanded things, and did things that he didn't originally plan, but his overall arc and objective was pretty much laid out since day one, and he's just fleshed it along the way, and it absolutely shows. You can't have revelations like this and say it works, it clicks, and it makes sense for the universe on Attack on Titan, unless everything has been planned from basically day one, and you can see it. This isn't a story that just randomly clicks and just kind of, you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we got basically, this other nation, they're way more advanced, and yeah, Titan Shifters and, Ymir and the 9 Titans, they got 7 apparently in Marley, and yeah, okay, why is everyone being treated as slaves here? Like, the only reason this works is because of how good the structuring and planning is, and it's why I basically worship Isayama as an author, and just so thankful that Wit Studio was passionate about the source material, because it's not even just like they're a talented team with talented animators, talented directors, and just sound production, things like that. It's that they're passionate about the source material, and it's why I'm hoping they don't switch studios, just because you can tell this is a passion, even if it is maybe not a financial kind of project for Wit Studio, because they are just contracted to do it, and most of all the big money to that goes to higher ups in the production committee. But it really does show just the quality, and just seeing how everything was directed. Like I said, it felt as if we were being taught things alongside Eren, Mikasa, Levi, the rest, because it felt like a letter being read to us. And I love the idea that they went very almost like religious and ancient, like we were reading almost like wall drawings, like seeing like, what is all this imagery? Why is it so religious? Why is it so almost like demonic and angelic? Like, it was just so interesting seeing how Wit Studio took something that I thought was so impactful in the manga, but almost elevated it in a different way. It wasn't even just like they took it and expanded, it was more like the way they visualized it and the way they directed Grisha's voice actor. It felt as if he was actually reading a letter to us, and it also felt as if we were looking at these slideshow images, but it didn't come across as a slideshow basically presentation, because the way they were detailing it, it was so crisp and detailed. It was like we were kind of uncovering a tomb in ancient Egypt. We didn't know what was behind door number 1, but when we opened up the sarcophagus, we were just like, holy shit, an entire world was just revealed to us. And there's no better way to put it, in my honest opinion. I just love what they did because of how brutal it is. You can start saying like, what was the deal with the base, and why was it kind of kept a secret for so long? Why the hell was the king keeping this a secret? Why is their history skewed? Why is Marley's history skewed? And it's all because basically history is wrote by the victors, and even if you lose, if you're separated from the rest of the world, you can kind of make history into your bitch, make it flow in your narrative so people don't question the order of things, and you can continue your rule without any heartaches. And I love that. It's just such a shocking revelation, and there's still so much more to uncover, and there is so much more of a world beyond that ocean that Eren now has to figure out what to do. Why his memories are linked with his father, why all this weird nonsense is actually really well written development that is just going to get crazier as it goes on. And when you look at people like Reiner and just the rest, they're really no different from anyone else. They're forced to fight, they're becoming the warriors, it's just a matter of perspective. What side you fight for will appear right, and sometimes you get roped up into a side that is just absolutely cruel and brutal, and sometimes there's no way for you to fight back against it without getting your head cut off because you'll be claimed a traitor, even if you absolutely hate it. There's still a bit left to Grisha's story with kind of the revelations as seen by the just, holy shit, look at the Titan ripping apart a boat. But I just love this episode. I was just like, how in the hell does Wit Studio take 2 of the biggest chapters, which this episode was 2 chapters of like, Isayama, what are you doing? And then we waited a month, and then we're like, Isayama, how the hell did you plan this? They took that and just somehow made it work, but also took liberties to expand it in their own creative vision, and I don't know how they managed this. It really does feel like a passion project. This feels like artists really bringing something to life that they truly care about. It doesn't feel like a product to be consumed by viewers. It feels like a passion project, and there's no other way to put it. This was an absolutely incredible episode, and Grissa's voice actor just absolutely stole the show with how he delivered this kind of letter being read to people, and I just love how they explored what the world of Attack on Titan is. You think, okay, humanity's inside these walls, and then you learn there's an entire world waiting for you, and everything that you knew was basically nothing. It was all fake and lies, and I love that. I really think Wit Studio outdid themselves bringing this to life. There was a lot of information. There's going to be shit running through your heads. Even if you're a manga reader, you're going to start speculating, like, how is Wit Studio going to adapt the rest of the season? Or how are they going to bring it to life in season 4, if it's Wit Studio or a different studio? But just, everyone, let me know what you thought of this week's episode of Attack on Titan. I am just so excited to see how the season is going to wrap up with just how they've elevated the already godly source material. Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy though, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't been new. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.